Please. Yes, ma'am.
I did the city tour the other day, which I appreciated very much. I guess I've been kind of struck by all the infrastructure that is here. What's the future? I mean, do you see any small industry, anything coming down the road to fill up all these marvelous curbs and gutters?
Our fondest hope is that that happens. And I'll ask our interim economic development director to kind of fill you in on our efforts. But we're very much interested in recruiting new business and holding on to existing business. The city has put a fair amount of its resources into making sure that happens. I can tell you, infrastructure-wise, the city is in really good shape. We have good capacity at our wastewater plant. The streets are in great shape. We are poised for what I would imagine to be explosive growth. As I look around this community, I see something that I didn't see in the last community I worked for, and that is homes being built, and that's always a positive sign. I've seen a couple of homes go up in Sun City very recently. Maybe Richard might be able to say what's going on in terms of development. Richard?
Well, in terms of Sun City, in the last few months, we've approved the next phase of Prominent subdivision on the west side of Anthem over on Flat Top, Mesa Ridge. And then, let's see, Hickory Wind subdivision, just east of Sidewinder, or on this side of the complex. That was approved. And we're probably reviewing, I don't know, what, 20, 30 building permits on that?
Yeah, and about 10 to 12 of those are new homes.
I can tell you that the last organization that I worked for, last city that I worked in, we went from having roughly, depending on the year, anywhere from 100 to 200 new rooftops a year, down to having just 3 in the last 3 years, and the last year and a half, 0. So there are some signs of life here. It's a beautiful community. It's poised for growth, and our infrastructure is in really good shape. So when the economy comes back, I expect it to have a significant and positive impact in this community. I can tell you that as a city manager, for most of my career, until the economy collapsed, the Great Recession began 3.5 years ago, the paradigm there was quality of life, making sure that growth, explosive growth, didn't ruin the communities that where it was occurring. I worked in Florida. Florida had to develop a Growth Management Act, although if you've been to Florida, you'd be hard-pressed to imagine that was the case. I was worked in Washington State. They adopted a Growth Management Act in 1990 based on Florida's Growth Management Act. And when I went to work in the state of Colorado in 2008, the small community that I was working for in the western slope of the Rockies had a 10% growth rate. Of course, all of that crashed when the economy collapsed. But the paradigm has shifted. The paradigm now is growth and commerce. You can't have any kind of quality of life in the community unless you support commerce, actively recruit it, and do your best to keep existing businesses in town. With that, I'd like to ask our interim economic development director just to talk about some of the efforts that we have right now underway to do what I just talked about.
Thank you. I'm going to kick it to Ken here in just a minute. Recently, the City Council voted to privatize the economic development function that the City of Mesquite has been fulfilling for a number of years. We decided, well, I should say the Council decided that was the direction that they wanted to go. And so a lot of the efforts that have been done in-house will now be done by contract with an organization called Mesquite Regional Business. We happen to be in luck that a board member of Mesquite Regional Business, Ken Cook, is here with us today, and I would like him to talk a little bit about what Mesquite Regional Business is, if that's okay with you. Let them explain what they're after.
Thanks, Aaron. Good morning. I am Ken Cook. I'm part of this Mesquite Regional Business Organization, new economic development function for the city. We just got the approval on October 23rd, and since the October 23rd, we've been literally drinking from the fire hose. We've had several prospects already contact us about potentially relocating to Mesquite. We have a meeting scheduled tomorrow in California, talking to a small manufacturer that's considering moving. We had a conference call yesterday with an outfit out of Tampa, Florida, that's looking for kind of a centralized location to build a facility. I've talked to a couple of realtors in town that have some clients that are interested in some land and everything. So things are really starting to happen. And we feel that we have a lot of flexibility now to really talk to these folks and coordinate with the city and kind of streamline the whole operation of getting new businesses to come into town. So we're very confident. We're also plugged into the Regional Development Authority, which is known as the Las Vegas Regional Economic Development Council, Commission. So we're at the table there. We're at the table with their subcommittee that's looking at an economic development strategy for Clark County. And then we're also on an economic development advisory group. So we're really plugged into what's going on in Vegas, what's going on in Clark County. They're really happy to have us at the table. And we've already gotten a lead from the governor's office's rep that's part of the EDA group. And he's going to be bringing a prospect up here tomorrow, as a matter of fact. So lots going on, a lot of positive things happening, and we're excited about the potential for helping the town attract some high-value jobs into the town and diversify the economy. Move it away from solely relying on the gaming and the entertainment and the golf, which is important, obviously, but we want to attract some better paying positions into the town. So, any questions about that?
I guess, Ken, sometimes I see Sun City here, you've got all these people that are coming from Canada, Wyoming, Montana, Ohio. Can they be a resource for
Absolutely,
you?
I agree with you 100%. And you read my mind. I've already thought about conducting a little session and inviting the Sun City folks, because I think there's a lot of talent and there are a lot of ideas that people bring in from their communities outside of Mesquite. So that is on the agenda, to start having some meetings and maybe develop a little bit of like an advisory board for folks here in Sun City.
Well, I'm just thinking this meeting was not announced. We get a weekly report on our email, and I don't believe this meeting was announced to the Sun City residents.
I don't think so.
And it was in the newspaper, but
Right.
Typically, we do a press release a week or week and a half out. I didn't realize, though, that we somehow missed Sun City in that, which is a shame. But we will come back here again, and this time we'll make sure that the folks here get the word out to the residents of this community.
Yeah, that's easy to fix.
If I can address one thing on the human capital issue that you're talking about, this group, Mesquite Regional Business, is all volunteers, and they are people from the community who have stepped forward with those experiences necessary to help bring this to pass. So big kudos goes to Ken and his group for stepping forward and having this experience and saying, I still want to use it, I still want to invest in the community, and they've done it with no compensation or expectation of compensation either, which I've greatly appreciated. So.
It's all psychic income.
It would seem to me that community college would be especially important in this.
Yes.
Because you need skilled employees for these, and so working with the college would be extremely important.
Yes, when we had the steering committee that was assembled to come up with this idea, we had a representative from CSM right here in Mesquite, and then also from Vegas. Kind of the workforce development expert was part of our committee. So we are plugged into them, and we're reaching out to the high school. And so we've got a lot of things on our list of things to do.
One thing that I should mention that is related to all of this, the City Council a few weeks ago approved a study that's going to be done in the Development Services Department. Basically, we're having a consultant. His name is Tom Riley. He's the former Clark County manager, now runs a consulting group, come in and take a very close look at how our Development Services Department runs. Development Services is essentially our portal to the development community. Doing this kind of review is something I've done in other communities as well. Once a year we take a look at a department, we determine what's going well, and we determined where we need to do some additional fine tuning. Council was kind enough to adopt my suggestion on this, and in December we're going to have a review by Mr. Wiley. He's going to find out what's working well and where the areas in which we need to fine tune. One of the things we're going to be doing as a part of that is having a workshop. We're going to have basically a focus group. We'll be inviting people from the community to come in and give us their thoughts on what's working and what isn't in that department. And if the council is willing, I would like to do another department next year, one each year, one on an annual basis after that. I think in terms of what I do for a living, customer service is key, and I think that's one way of improving it. I hope next year, budget permitting, we are able to do some additional customer service training within our organization. There's nothing more important than providing services to you, and because in some cases we're a monopoly, it doesn't mean that we don't listen and that we're not concerned. We very much like to hear your thoughts on things that we could be doing better or things that we haven't tried before and would like to try.